We are live, everybody, for the Pull Hook Golf Podcast recording. Man, oh man, do we have a good one tonight. This is all about the Memorial. So if you are excited to learn about the Memorial Tournament and everything going on there, this is your episode. This is what you want to tune into. If you're a Golden Bear lover, you absolutely love Jack Nicklaus, you definitely want to tune into this one.
Jack Nicklaus.
Good old Jack, hey boy. All right. Dude, I'm excited for this. Tell you what, the more research that I did in regards to the Memorial Tournament, the more I got excited about it.
Okay.
It's a little bit weird without, obviously, without the big cat there, because he sort of made that tournament what it was for years. But yeah, I mean, there's
part
enough.
of the reason why I'm excited about it there.
Yeah, there's enough controversy around the event and who's playing in the event to certainly drum up some fun things to discuss. Buttsy, what's going on with your hair, buddy?
What do you mean?
It's beautiful.
You also drive a Subaru?
Oh, no.
Don't be jealous, man. One day you'll grow up.
You guys just getting after it against each other already. My gosh. We got to play golf tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a triple carryover for you guys.
I know. Brent can't make it.
I'm out of town.
Ooh, did you head down there and pick up that hat? Buttsy?
No, this was just sitting up here.
Gosh, that's a nice one.
You have this one.
I got it in the white.
What's up, good people? Hello, good person.
JBTN23, baby. There we go.
Spin loft.
So we do have a little, it's kind of cool. They now have on our streaming service this little window in the bottom right-hand corner. I don't know if you guys can see
I can see that.
The chat will
What is it?
It's the chat. And it will show up as people are chiming in.
Chat.
So now the viewers of the live stream get to see all the chats coming in. I don't have to necessarily pull them up on the screen each time, which is nice.
Just checking out the mustache. See, it got it nice and trimmed up today too. But you know, if you don't shower after, you get those little flyaways that just kind of stay on your face and up your nostrils. Or
You certainly do.
Beautiful.
Certainly do. All right, gentlemen, we ready to get this episode started?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's dive right in. So in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to Pull Hook Golf, the podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cook. Tonight, we've got the Buttsy with us as our co-host. We got our tour insider and Brent Grant. And we've got a great episode for all of you. This is the 2025 Memorial Preview.
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm really excited about this, guys, and I'll explain why as we go into it tonight. But before we do dive into, because it is all about the Memorial during this episode, we're going to focus solely on that tonight. We do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, good old Devereaux Golf, folks. That's DEVEREUX golf.com. Butsy's got it on. I've got it on. The Johnny Walker. We also want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at Johnny Walker. Please drink responsibly, over the age of 21. Now, with that said, we also have Vice Golf, which, by the way, going back to Devereaux Golf, the promo code there for 20% off your entire order is PullHookGolf20. So the name of the show and then 20. All one word, all put together. Then we've got Vice Golf. Go get yourself some golf balls, folks. I've been playing their golf balls for a while now, and I absolutely love them. And they're a great price point. They're phenomenal. They're a great sponsor. And we do want to give them a shout out with a promo code for all of you. Pullhook, just PULLHOOK, for 10% off your order at vicegolf.com. And that is for the golf ball side. They have not opened that up to the golf club side because those are hot commodities right now, those golf clubs at the moment. But if you are going to buy a set of Vice Golf golf clubs, go ahead and put in pull hook, and that will at least give us credit for your purchase. But tonight, as I mentioned, it's all about the Memorial, and this past Monday, yesterday, was Memorial Day. So, Buttsy, as part of our tee off report with Buttsy, I know I didn't prep you on this one. So, what's your favorite thing about holiday weekends like Memorial Day? So, getting that 3-day weekend going.
Uh, I just like I like that everybody's kind of in party mode, and there's like a vibe to it. It kind of makes you do this the whole time. You're like when you get a nice plate of ribs in front of you and it's the right, and just like, no, for real though, I like it when you go to the gas station, everybody's walking out of there with beer and cigarettes and all of the good things, huge bags of chips, carts full of shit at the grocery store. Everybody's getting ready to go out and party, whether they're going to the lake, the pool. For me this weekend, it was the golf course, but it's just a vibe, and you can feel it wherever you go, and that's my favorite part about it.
Love that. The vibe out there on a 3-day weekend, like Memorial Day weekend. Now, Butsy, I did see on Instagram you were out there playing some golf this weekend, and then you got a little loose there afterwards. I saw some of the stories, and
Yes,
just curious, how you feeling today?
we're doing good today. Actually, I thought it would be way worse. Got up very early. A lot of hydration yesterday. Huge meal from a barbecue place last night. I think that soaked up most of it, but got through our routine today. Sauna, cold plunge, a little workout in, and we're feeling pretty nice tonight. Very relaxed, actually.
Yeah, you look relaxed. You look refreshed. You look ready to go. Except that upper lip just keeps on twitching, which really, that could be the drugs. It could be something else. Brant is mimicking that as well over there. He's got his electrolytes water. Brant, we do not want any rumors being started about you with your upper lip moving around out there. And where are you at this week, Brant?
Right now, I am in Murrieta, California. Not echoing, I hope.
You're a little bit, but that's okay.
Oh, that's great. I'll talk a little softer.
No, you're fine.
Um, Playing a little Asher Tour event. It's just a bunch of guys getting ready for Canadian Tour Q School. So I figured I'd come over and playing a little something to just something to do. So great golf course, Saboba Springs Country Club. Used
Boba.
to, yeah, actually hosted I think it was a web.com event. It was actually Ricky Fowler's first professional event. So the golf course has got some good bones in it.
Okay.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
just
good luck
something to
out
do.
there during the this week in Marietta, California. As we talk about Ricky Fowler, we got the 2025 Memorial
Yes.
Preview Tournament. And folks, last year's winner, Scottie Scheffler, 8 under par. And the question that I posed, even in this title, is this Scottie Scheffler's tournament to lose? We haven't said this in a long time. Like, you got to go back to the Tiger days to where it's all of a sudden, you've got one player and then you're like, man, do I take the rest of the field in this bet? But it kind of feels that way with Scottie Scheffler this week. Buttsy, I'll start with you, man. Like, how are you feeling about Scottie Scheffler? Do you feel like this is his tournament to lose?
Yeah, it started. What was it, last year, the year before? He got real streaky. Everybody was like, "Whoa, modern Tiger, holy shit!" And then, he had the kid, and then it seemed like there was just a little lull, if you even want to call it that. And then right back on the fucking horse, and it looks like he's about to prove himself that he is that guy. I think it is his to lose for sure. I think it'd be stupid not to think that.
Brian, what about you, buddy? What do you think about Scottie Scheffler? Is this his tournament to lose?
I mean, he won the PGA against possibly the strongest field in golf. And he did it at I won't say a similar course, but it's similar in difficulty. Um, but at the same time, it just seems like all of those guys that were kind of leading into the PGA, we were thinking, oh yeah, Rory won the Masters and JT's playing well, and the list went on, and then all of a sudden they just all laid an egg. So that could mean that it could be competitive towards the end of Sunday, but yeah, I have to agree. I think he absolutely has the world of golf in his hands right now. And as long as his left ankle, or excuse me, his right ankle can stay healthy, he should be just fine.
Yeah, he was a little banged up there this last weekend, and I also got to think that it was partially the little bit of a hangover from the PGA. And I'm not talking about the literal hangover from drinking alcohol, more so just from winning a big tournament like that, being emotionally exhausted, mentally exhausted, and coming into that. And yet he goes out there and finishes the top 10. So, I mean, Scottie Scheffler right now is once again firing on all cylinders. And he's somebody who this golf course fits perfectly. So I do want to talk a little bit about this because guess who did skip out this week? That's
McIlroy.
Right. Good old Rory McIlroy has skipped out on the tournament this week. And I first want to start with a question around that. Is this a slight to Jack? Do you think Jack's going to take this personal, Buttsy?
Yeah. I think he already has. I think it's especially at his later age. How many years he got left. You can't even let the man know. It's a little shitty, or it's just a huge media play, and that's the whole point of it, is to create that kind of buzz. But yeah, he should take it personally if he's not.
Yeah, I think it's tough because Rory doesn't play great at the Memorial, and it's not set up for his game. Like, Rory hits a draw. It's a big draw off of the tee, and it does not. Now, granted, Muirfield, you can hit anything you want. If you are a great ball striker, you're going to get away with it. You're going to be able to play great there. But the course does line up for a fade because that was Jack's power fade. And he designed the golf course after himself as a golf course that he would want to play. And so it certainly favors a fade. Does that mean a player who hits a draw cannot win there? No. I mean, we've seen it time and time again whenever we say, oh, this golf course fits X, Y, and Z. Like, for instance, Scottie Scheffler hitting a fade 2 weeks ago at the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, which fits a draw. So certainly it can be done, especially if you're playing at a top level. But Rory skipping out this week. I mean, Brent, talk to us from a player's perspective. Like, why would somebody like Rory skip out this week?
Yeah, I mean, we don't obviously know what he's got going on in his personal life, but maybe this is the I think the U.S. Open is in 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So
we got
it
RBC
could be
Canada next week, and then we've
which
got
he's
the US
playing.
Open.
So he's likely playing the Canadian Open, but because he has in the past. But who knows? I mean, maybe he went to Oakmont, or maybe he went to visit family. Who knows? But do I think that playing the Memorial and playing in an elevated event after all of the talk about how it's about the best product and so on and so forth, do I think that it's from my perspective, yeah, it would feel like, what are you doing? So you don't, I mean, you won the Masters, that's great. But the last time I checked, that doesn't mean that you're done playing golf. So, and he's taken, he's obviously taken the last 2 weeks off. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows what he's got going on? From my perspective, I would just want to see the best players there. And when Scottie wins a tournament and he's not there, it makes a difference.
For sure. And here's another thing with Rory McIlroy not being there this week. I can't recall if this announcement came out before or after the PGA Championship. And obviously he didn't play well at the PGA Championship. Obviously there's some media about the illegal driver that kind of caught a little bit of some conspiracy theorists out there on social media, and him skipping out 2 weeks in a row. And this is a signature event. I mean, this is a $20 million purse. $4 million goes to the winner. 700 FedEx Cup points. So we're talking about a big tournament.
One of the biggest.
For him to skip out on it, and a legend like Jack, like you said, he's going to take it personal.
Yeah,
like that's going to be something that Jack is probably not going to forget for quite some time. And here's the other part. Rory has been up there in the top 10s in the past. So it's not like it's a course that he can't play. He's obviously not won it, but that kind of goes to the whole thing about the Masters. Like, this could have been a year to where Rory McIlroy avenged his loss at the Masters and ended up getting the Grand Slam. Then he goes to Memorial, wins the Memorial for the first time. Like, this is a big tournament that I feel like could have really benefited Rory if he had gone out there, played well, and potentially had won this week. So I guess my one thing around this is that, you know, with Rory being in this situation, not playing this week, and then playing next week at the RBC, Buttsy, like, what does this tell you? I mean, it's kind of weird, right?
It is, man. Maybe he's scared. Maybe once he removed the illegal driver from the bag, he secretly started hitting balls on TrackMan with a legal one, lost like 120 yards of carry, and doesn't know if he can ever compete on tour again without that driver. So I don't know. It's something definitely to take a peek at. I would like to know some more insider info about the driver situation, but he could just be terrified. You know, having lost so much yardage, right? I mean, that's yeah.
It could be pretty telling if he goes out there and, you know, the stats keep adding up that he was so much shorter with any driver that they're putting in the bag. Maybe he's these past couple weeks has gone to TaylorMade undercover and, you know, maybe wearing a mustache out there and some glasses so nobody recognizes him. And maybe they're dialing in a new driver
Yeah.
for Rory that can get through all the testing and everything. But we do have some people chiming in here. So Austin Whittington said, just doesn't understand skipping the Memorial. Getting a trophy handed to you by Jack is a huge thing. And here's the thing, Jack is not getting younger, folks. This, like, as kind of, gosh, as depressing as this sounds, this could be Jack's last. We don't know. Like, he's getting up there in age. He's looking frail. He's not looking like a young guy anymore, or even like somebody who's getting around well in their older age, like a Gary Player, for instance. So it's like, man, this could be Jack's last, and you're going to skip out on his tournament and give up that opportunity. I just think there's a bigger story there, and
There
it's
has
kind
to
of
be.
been swept under the rug. Like, are you hearing anything, Brant, from any of the players or anything around this?
Yeah, I mean, Rory, the only thing I've heard about Rory really, anything recently, especially after the Masters, uh, was that essentially he's just gone sort of kind of even more into himself and even more into his circle. Obviously, there have been a number of rumors with regards to his relationship and his family. I don't want to be anywhere near that. I don't want to
You
comment.
don't want to talk about it?
I don't have an opinion. Um, he's a grown man. He's going to have to deal with it by himself. But as far as anything else, it seems like to me after winning the Masters, he's resting on his laurels. And for somebody like him, um,
Good word, by the way.
when he's seen success, which he has, obviously he's won 5 or 6 Dubai race to Dubai's. He's won 4, I think, FedEx Cup championships, 3 or 4. And now that he's won the Masters, I don't see Rory really looking at the rest of the golf world thinking anything but, I'm just going to sort of play where I want to play, and be all about the money at this point. Which
Like
I
he's
mean,
done feeling like he owes anybody anything,
yeah,
right?
and that's fine. That's great. I mean, he wants to focus on golf, and he said as much. Which we talked about it all last year when he was being hyper political that he just needs to shut up and play golf, and that's exactly what he's done. And so, kudos to him. Do I think that skipping out on Memorial is a good thing to do? No, but I absolutely agree that there must be something else going on.
So, Truck Golfer, welcome in tonight, buddy. We were waiting on you. Truck Golfer's here. He says, who's Rory banging, Brent? But on a serious note, around Rory, you actually, as you were talking about it, I kind of felt like, oh shit, if he had played well in the PGA Championship and potentially won that, then he's going to try to get the Grand Slam and play in everything, right? However, the Masters was the big one for him. That was the finale. And I don't know if all of a sudden he just doesn't play well at the PGA Championship and then he kind of packs it in for the rest of the year to where he's like, well, my career is solidified. I'm good. Like, I don't know Rory, so I don't know if that's something that he would be thinking or not. But like, Buttsy, put yourself in his shoes. Could that potentially be something to where he's like, man, I'm riding off into the sunset. If I win another tournament or two, great, but I'm not really gonna do anything out of my way anymore in regards to schedule or playing in tournaments.
Yeah, totally. I mean, absolutely, and that's fine. And if you're gonna miss the Memorial, uh, just tell Jack you're gonna miss it. You know,
Yeah.
like big deal. Okay, not gonna be there. I want to prep, like you guys talked, like Brent said, prep for the U.S. Open. Take a step back. I'm gonna stop listening to what other people are telling me I should be doing with my golf career and do things as I see fit. Okay, fine, but shoot the guy a text or a phone call or something written.
Which he
Something.
might have done that, but
Yeah,
I mean,
and
either
that's what I'm
way,
saying. They might just be
yeah.
blowing this up, and there's really no bad blood at all. And Jack, like,
I don't think that there's any issue with it. I think um, clearly Rory's got something else going on that he feels is important. To give the guy the benefit of the doubt, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But at the same time, I mean, it just you could tell after the Masters, you could tell even just on Masters Sunday that he was kind of like, "What else do you want from me? Like I've done it. Like I proved that I'm at least one of the greatest of all time, and can't argue with the guy." And you know what? Honestly, there's a part of me that if I made a certain number, I would probably check out as well and play
Yeah.
tournaments that I wanted to play and only care about that.
of
So
course,
I don't blame him.
I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm like, man, if I only won the Masters,
Yeah,
because that would be the one tournament in my mind that if
100%.
I win that, my career is set. I am good, and I'm probably just riding off into the sunset if I got enough money at that
yeah.
point. Now
Take
the
700
competitive
million
side,
from Live. I mean,
yeah,
I
I
mean, he
could
already
happen.
gets, yeah. I mean, you kind of, I think you get paid. I mean, just like the boilerplate sponsorship, thing for a Masters winner is in the millions. So I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Now there might be some golf courses, there might be some tournaments where he feels that, hey, like for example, who was it? Austin Whittington said it perfect. If you want to pull it up, Matt, he said
Which
he
one?
still needs to win the
At
Open
St.
at the
Andrews?
at St. Andrews. Which you know what that's absolutely accurate. And I gotta, I mean, that's
I don't
another
know if that
thing.
matters to him
It
though.
might not.
Like I
Who
just don't
knows?
see it from but again, I don't know Rory. I don't know how competitive he is after
Now,
winning the
yeah,
Masters, right? He might go through a little bit of what we refer to as senioritis, where it's like, hey, I just won the biggest tournament of my life. I now have won the
fucking
Grand
chilling.
Slam. I am hanging out. I'm not worrying about golf. I'm going to play in some
yeah, he's
tournaments.
got a kid too.
Yeah, I mean, he's got little Poppy, and I believe they have two kids, right? If I'm
Do
not
they have two?
mistaken, or it's just Poppy.
Interesting.
But anyways, there was a good question here as well from JBTN23. How common is it for drivers to be non-compliant? I did hear that during the PGA Championship, it wasn't just Rory's that was
No.
illegal. I actually heard Xander Schauffele's was
Hmm.
as well. So certainly there's a lot of guys. And again, it kind of goes back to, we were talking about this last week, that the driver, especially the way that these faces are made, the more these get hit and worn in, the more they get that trampoline effect.
Correct.
I
It's
think
just
one
a
of the
matter of
reasons
time.
why they don't test as much as they probably should for an entire field is because it's probably pretty costly to the manufacturers. I'm
It
pretty
is.
sure the manufacturers have a little bit of an ear from the testing bodies and so forth around, hey, you know, don't be testing my guy every single week because shit, like if it gets a little bit out of compliance, it's not that big of a deal, but it gives a little bit of an advantage. But these
Mhm.
drivers are going to, especially as the face is
Yeah.
thin.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, it's just a
surprised
matter
though
of
that Rory
time.
didn't. Sorry, there was one other thing that I want to mention there is that Rory, it's surprising that he hadn't been tested before that.
It's so, I mean, likely with his schedule, playing a handful of tournaments in the beginning
Didn't
of the
get drawn.
season. He just wasn't there when they got tested, or if he was tested, he didn't fail. So I mean, there are I think 3 to 5 tests. I mean, I played 30 some odd events on the 2023 season. I think guys got tested 3 times.
Okay.
So I mean,
Not
and
a lot.
that's no,
Listen,
that's I mean
I
that's
don't want to go
yeah.
down the testing route because we did
Oh
that with the
God,
drug testing to where there was a lot of
don't
varying
get me
opinions
started on that
around that.
shit.
So yeah, we will it's still kind of one of those things that it might not be tested all that often, as what Brent's referring to there.
It's not.
But let's get back into the tournament a little bit. I mean, this
Yep.
is at Jack's Place, Muirfield Village Golf Club in Dublin, Ohio. I mean, what he's been able to do for the I don't know, is it a town? It's got to be a town of Dublin in Ohio.
For sure.
Par 72, yardage 7569 up in the northeast area, and you get some humidity out there. Ball doesn't travel nearly as far. And I
But they
did
get it
mention
firm.
earlier, this is a signature series event, $20 million purse, $4 million to the winner, plus 700 FedEx Cup points. So definitely, once again, makes it surprising that Rory is taking the week off. A little bit later on, we're going to get into some memorable stories at the memorial that have occurred over the years. And this is part of what was getting my juices going back and realizing how much history the memorial has in such a short amount of time.
Exactly.
Guys,
It's one of my favorite tournaments.
the broadcast this week is CBS. Good old Jim
Okay.
Nance. And I got to ask you guys, and I'll start with you, Brent. Is CBS the best broadcast for golf?
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I absolutely. I mean, would I wish that good old Gary McCord and David Faraday were back and to complete the squad? Yeah, but nobody's better than Jim Nance.
I have to agree. That's my answer.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I think it is hands down CBS is the best broadcast. And a lot of it has to do with obviously Jim Nance being the main lead broadcaster there. And I will say though that during the PGA Championship, some of the Live Golf fans were not happy. They actually all over Twitter were shitting on Jim Nance because of Jim Nance's bias towards the PGA Tour and how he wasn't pumping up the Live Golf guys. And so that was pretty interesting to see.
Pretty well known.
Just kind of it goes back to the fact that Live Golf fans, and I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying that there's a lot of like the ones that are, whether they're paid bots or whatever they are, right? That they don't know a lot about golf. Like they don't know history.
They can't because I was thinking about this today. It was like, would I accept a check from Liv? Would I have accepted a check from Liv even when I was on the PGA Tour? And the answer is probably yes. Because at the end of the day, and the guy that runs the Astro Tour had a great point. He said, dude, if you're really the type of person that is all about, the history and all that other stuff, then that's fine. But it's your job. Make as much money at it as you can, because none of the history or the who won what when, none of it matters, because in 50 years or 100 years or whatever, it just won't make a difference. Not to mention the fact that it's not like when you win a golf tournament, all of a sudden your life is complete. It doesn't change anything.
Well, if it mattered, then Rory'd be playing this week.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, if it really mattered, these guys wouldn't be playing 15 events a year. I mean, come on.
Live Golf, man. So Buttsy and I, when we first started, when Buttsy came into the show and so forth, we talked about it. I talked about it with Mikey Perez at the very beginning, like back when there was really bad blood and, the whole political thing was going on. We would have taken the money, no doubt about it. Like there was no question. That's why I've never disliked the players because of it. Like they took the money and good for them. Like I've never had a problem with that. It's more so the setup, the format, all of those things that I don't love about Live Golf. And I tried it for multiple years, watching every single event. And it just, at the end of the day, it fell short. So I know some people like it. It's kind of the edgy, the new bad group of guys that,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, watching the PGA Tour, it's just a different product. It's a better product, and it's a better format and setup. And, it's the best competition in the world on the PGA Tour. So you're not
Correct.
going to change
100%.
my opinion there. But I do want to get into the betting odds for this week before we start talking about some Memorial stories. Betting odds, Scottie Scheffler, and this is why I kind of led with the entire fact of Scottie Scheffler. Can anybody stop him? Is this his tournament to lose? Scottie Scheffler's plus 280.
Jesus.
Oh.
The next guy, I mean, this is basically Scottie Scheffler versus the field. And again, we only used to see that with Tiger Woods. We've never really seen this otherwise.
Not even Rory at his best.
And there is something to be said, though, too, that this week just feels like it's Scottie Scheffler's tournament. Like, I don't know. It's tough for me to go against Scottie Scheffler this week at all. Where like other weeks, it's like, oh man, this player or this player. But in second best odds are Xander Schauffele and Colin Morikawa. Colin Morikawa actually finished second to Scottie Scheffler last year by one shot. Obviously, he hits a bullet fade, so this course lines up really well for Colin. But Xander Schauffele is up there with him at plus 1,600. That's why it's very surprising, because normally, like, second and third are like maybe
4, 5, 6.
plus 600, like that range. No, it's plus 1,600 for second place to Scottie Scheffler.
That's fucking crazy.
That's nuts, right?
It is.
Yeah, I mean, you start talking about the stuff, and it's like, normally, like you said, there's kind of a little bit of a pattern, but for them to just basically out and out Vegas for them to say, no, Scotty's winning the tournament. Like,
it's pretty much what they're saying.
This is another point to the argument that Scottie Scheffler is doing something that's completely different.
Yeah.
Like, even Rory, even Phil, I mean, some of these guys that were world number one briefly while Tiger was hurt, a decade ago, like, doesn't even come close to what Scotty's doing.
It doesn't. It's wild. I mean, this is the best player we've seen in our lifetime since Tiger Woods.
Absolutely agree.
It's just, there's no if, and, or buts around it, in my opinion. I did see something about how if you say that Scottie Scheffler is better than Phil Mickelson, you're crazy. Now, I will say, yeah, I'm crazy, because I think Scottie Scheffler is a better golfer than Phil Mickelson. Granted, Phil Mickelson's got the resume, right? He's got all these tournaments that he's won, all the majors and so forth. Scotty's got some work to do. But if I'm looking at Phil Mickelson in his prime versus Scottie Scheffler right now,
not even close.
Phil did not have what Scottie Scheffler has.
No.
Number one in almost every major category, and he's above average in putting. That's the literal definition of dominance. And the only reason, by the way, why he's above average in putting and not, top 10 is because he hits it on the green all the time. And you're not going to make every putt. Like,
Kyle over at Cart Barn, guys, over on an 80 for Nick Dunlap.
I was watching that guy swing. He goes so far forward, and he just goes every single time. You're just like,
he's got the driver yips, man.
Well, I would too if I put my head 40 inches over the ball and tried to get it all the way back.
I got Nick in the top 5, I think. But.
Dude, I mean, what a life that guy has had.
That's awesome.
This just to come out at 20 years old and to win twice, and then to just have a lull year. Screw it. Why not?
To be going through the yips, like, you
get
hear
injured.
it with short game. I'm dealing with it with chipping, but you get it in putting, you get it in chipping. I don't really hear all that often about driver yips, but they exist.
It's rare.
Anybody want to give me 20 to 1 odds on a 50 for Dunlap in the top 5?
Not a chance.
I'm not touching that one. Not touching that one at all. Kyle, you did get the smiles on that one. Well done with adding in a little segment for Nick Dunlap there. We were not going to talk about him. I can guarantee you that. So well done in bringing him up. Justin Thomas is the fourth best odds at plus 1,800. Patrick Cantlay at plus 2,200. And this is a guy that's won this twice.
God, this fucking guy.
You don't like him. He
Oh,
hasn't played
dude,
well
it's
over the past 2 years.
no, it's just the fact that he's in every conversation all the time about top players, and you have to wonder why. Like he's like you said, he's won
Because he's a
Memorial
top
twice.
player.
No, he's
He's
not
got
even
a good
close to a
resume,
top
though.
player. I mean, he's won a few times,
But
absolutely,
this is a tournament that he's won multiple times. That's why
100%.
his name comes up in this. And yeah,
Just
you're right. We bring him up normally around the majors. That's normally when we start bringing up Patrick Cantlay.
he's a top player.
You don't think so?
Absolutely
Wow.
not. I mean, his there is nothing about his game in the last 2 years that tells me that he's anywhere near the top 10.
Somebody
That's
pull his
interesting.
stats up for the last 2 years and tell me he's not a top player.
Yeah, Trot. How about it, man?
There's at least 30 guys that have won PJ Tour events, and he hasn't.
You know who I also do like this week that is
Justin
sitting at plus
Rose.
2,500 is
Justin
Ludwig
Rose.
Oberg.
Oh.
Well, we're going to get into dark horses, Brent, because Justin Rose is actually in my dark horses picks. Victor Hovland, Tommy Fleetwood at plus 2,800, Corey Connors plus 3,000, Hideki Matsuyama, Jordan Spieth,
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth plus 3,500, Daniel Berger,
Sponsor
Shane
invite.
Lowry plus 4,000, Tony Finau, Seb Straka, Denny McCarthy, Siwoo Kim plus 4,500, JJ Spawn, Keegan Bradley, Matt Fitzpatrick, don't call him Matthew at plus 5,000, Aaron
name is
Rye,
Matthew.
Ben Griffin, and Russell Henley at plus 5,500. You know what's crazy?
Rough.
Russell Henley is in the top 10 in official world golf rankings and in points on the FedEx Cup right now.
Yes.
Not a top
Consistent
player.
player.
Not a top
Consistent player.
You know what,
Consistent.
though? That could be the same thing you could say for Patrick Cantlay. Very consistent player.
Sort of.
Not a top guy.
But Patrick
Russell Henley's
Cantlay's
won more times in the last 2 years than Patrick Cantlay.
Correct, because Patrick Cantlay has not played well the past 2 years. However, let's keep it moving, keep it grooving.
He's
We
not a top
also
guy.
have some more odds here as well with well, I just ended with those. Bobby McIntyre, Maverick McNeely, Harris English, Sam Burns, and Sung J.M. are sitting at plus 6,000. So let's go over our picks. And then, like I said, we'll go over some dark horses after that. And then we'll get into some stories from the Memorial
I was going to
Tournament.
say, should we talk about some of the people that are in the event this week?
We certainly can.
Bit of a
Absolutely.
buzz. So
We have been.
So, yeah, we have been.
certain people.
We've also talked a lot about people that are not going to be in this tournament this week.
There's at least one person we've talked
Just
about.
one. But, Buttsy, why don't you start us off with your pick, since I think I know who it is.
Nick Dunlap.
I
Probably
didn't
that's
mean to laugh so
first
hard.
and foremost. No, I'm going hard with Sepp Straka. I like Straka. I really do. And I think
Great pick.
You've been
Xander.
high on him lately. It's a good call.
What's that?
You've been high on him lately.
Yeah, he's a top player. So I see him possibly having a chance come Sunday. Xander might be the rug puller, but all in all, yeah, I think Scottie Scheffler is walking away with it by like 5 shots.
Brian, what do you think, buddy?
Well, I try not to pick guys that everybody else picks, but I want to see Ludwig get after it this week. I want to see Oberg put his foot down. Although I'm also half thinking he might just win the U.S. Open this year as well. But we'll talk about that later.
This is a great test for the U.S. Open in terms of prep.
Exactly.
You're going to deal with some long, rough. Jack makes it firm and fast.
But then,
especially on Sunday.
There's the praying mantis, the left-handed lemur, Akshay Bhatia.
Oh, lemur.
He plays. He's got. You like that one? Oh man, he plays really, really well on hard golf courses. So, and he's a fantastic putter. So, look out for him. Top player.
He's got the problem though, to where he's a lefty and he hits a fade, so that could be tough.
He does, but we'll see.
I do like the Ludwig pick because he was the one that I saw on this list that I'm like, he's the guy that I think could take on Scottie. at this golf tournament and potentially win. Colin Morikawa obviously did it last year and competed with Scottie Scheffler. The course fits him so well, but as we saw with Quail Hollow, even guys that the course fits so great, sometimes it does not pan out. It's the game of golf, right? This is not like golf strikes you at weird times, and you do not. It owes you nothing, and it will take everything from you.
Correct.
So that being said, I do think Scottie Scheffler is going to walk away with it this week, but obviously I want to give some other calls within this. I like Jordan Spieth this week. He's a guy who has finished top 10 here several times, and Jordan Spieth trending in the right direction. I'm going to be high on Jordan Spieth a lot this year because until he starts to show me otherwise, he is trending in the right direction. But I'm more excited not about the main guys this week. I'm actually more excited about the dark horses this week. So dark horses, you already heard it from Brent. Brent ruined the surprise with Justin Rose, who's plus 11,000. Okay.
I'm not sure why.
Throw some money on Justin Rose. So I think the odds makers didn't go back far enough, because if you look the past, like he only played this tournament once in the past, like 5-6 years, and missed the cut terribly. Right. So if you dig a little bit deeper, Justin Rose finished second in 2015, a heartbreaker. He also, around that time, had multiple top fives. So
10 years ago.
Yeah. And guess what? Is he in the type of form that he was 10 years ago? I would say yes. Especially,
I would think from an odds maker's perspective that, like, if I was looking at like a,
I don't know what was so funny about that. It's something got to Brett there.
Oh, shit. It's just Butsy's face. That's all.
no, I'm thinking like, okay,
10
an
years
older
ago.
guy like that, he's still really good. But if I was an odds maker, I'd be like, that guy's going to have one shot
Plays-
decent.
He's
And he
he's
just
playing
had it.
great golf.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I mean,
he's shown that he can compete at this golf course. That's why I don't care that it was 10 years ago. Like, he's a guy that is playing top level golf once again.
I like it's a dark horse, so it's not a it's
No.
a dark horse pick.
It's a
So
dark
that's
horse.
okay.
I would love to see what my boy Brent said on the chat there about good old Tommy Fleetwood getting it done this week. Wouldn't that be
Ooh,
Look
amazing?
at that. So Brent Hobby over on YouTube just said that Thomas Paul Fleetwood,
His
for
character
his
looks like a
first
shirtless Kyle.
PGA Tour win, mark it in the
Characters.
books for Brent Hobby. I don't like Tommy Fleetwood. I never do when it comes to a PGA Tour event, because that's a big
Fair.
monkey to get off your back, especially when you're going up against guys who are at the really peaking at the right time, like a Scottie Scheffler. So
Oh,
that's going to be a tough one. But if you do win, we're going to give you a major shout out next week. Don't worry there, Brent Hobby. I do want to say that the next one that I have on the list may be a little sketchy. Okay.
what is it?
I got Matthew Pavone at plus 35,000.
Oh my
I don't even know who the fuck
Please
that is.
Stop.
Okay, hang on a second. So,
Stop.
Brent, you can hate on this. It's a dark horse, but look at him during the PGA Championship. Right?
No.
Right?
No. Absolutely not.
You're getting Brent doesn't like this one.
No,
No.
but this is
I don't
a
even
guy.
think the guy deserves to be on the PGA Tour, in my opinion.
Oh
but
my
that's just me.
God, he's won on the PGA
Don't care.
Tour.
Don't care.
You don't like the Frenchman.
I don't like the fact that they get cards at all, but that's just me.
Oh, you don't like I get where the bitterness is coming from. So, Buttsy, the top
Wait, what?
5 DP World Tour
10,
guys
top
get
10.
Is it 10? So
It's top 10.
top 10 DP World Tour guys get PGA Tour
And it's
cards.
not
So
even
that
the
takes
real
away
top
from
10
Brent.
because the top 10 players in the DP World
Oh.
Tour
I didn't
are
realize
PGA Tour players.
I never realized that you were bitter about this rule.
I just don't agree with it because it's not the real top 10. They
Did
take
you get affected
the
of
next
being
top 10.
on tour by this?
No, but there are multiple Corn Ferry Tour guys that don't get starts because of it.
Damn.
But I just
Why aren't they playing on the
advocate-
DP World Tour then?
Why would you want to go play on the DP World Tour? It's the third
It
best
seems
tour in
like,
the world.
according to you,
It's
it's
a
a lot
world
easier
tour.
to get a tour card. I'd be doing
Yeah.
that.
Well,
DP could be great times.
I
got a
would do.
lot of
I
good
would
traveling
absolutely
going
do
on.
it. 100%. I'm thinking about going to the Japan tour. Make some
Trout Golfer
serious
brought up
cash.
a good point here. Pavone wins in San Diego after stepping behind his ball in the rough on the 18th. That is true. There is footage of that. And Trout Golfer does not like cheaters. I did see Trout Golfer was talking about Matty Schmid and his long putter and anchoring. There was some creasing going on with the polo shirt. So yeah, that's an interesting point there, Trout Golfer. But I do like Matthew Pavone because if you know about his game, this guy is an auto fade. He fades the ball every single time. Lance Bennett was talking to me about him to where he's like, you get in a group with Matthew Pavone, it's like automatic. It's just this buttery little fade that he hits out there every single time. And you know that's going to play well at the Memorial. Brent hates it. Absolutely hates it.
Can't say.
But Buttsy loves that Brent hates it.
So Colin's playing this week, right?
Yes, Colin Morikawa is playing, but he's up there. What has he got? The second best odds.
Not exactly a dark horse. Yeah,
No,
I
not
mean,
even close to a dark horse. He's like one of the favorites.
Butsy's Jake Knapp isn't playing, so there's
no,
a
he's an
problem there.
alternate. Somebody might drop out, but it's not likely that Jake Knapp's getting in. But my third dark horse, because I love me some David Geese. He was sending me some texts over the weekend as Bud was playing really well. And
What about Tony?
Bud Colley.
Tony, no.
What about
Bud
Steve?
Colley.
Tony's
Whoa.
plus 4,500. He's not really a dark horse. Like
How-
plus
where's that
4,500
guy
is kind of
been?
tough as a dark horse.
Where's that guy been? I mean,
Have you seen how he lays the putter down on the ground? That's why he's not in conversation.
well, that's changed a lot over the last few years. So
that putter, the toe is still sticking dead
Oh.
up in the air.
Well-
He hits a lot of pole putts. That's why.
yeah, he needs to do the opposite. He needs to
Yeah.
ulnar deviate and get away from. Anyways,
I don't know why somebody at Ping hasn't sat down with him and gone, dude.
dude, the guy I remember
probably
talking to
have.
him. No, they absolutely have. He has a guy that I think he works with. I don't.
Is that guy an enabler?
It's possible.
You look
I
good,
mean,
Tony. Did everything look good?
the way
Put the
he
motherfucker
describes
on.
his problem is that he gets going bad when the putter kind of does this on the way back, and it's kind of like, so you're going to make it even, like, it doesn't make any sense. The sweet spot couldn't be smaller. He could put with a fridge and he'd still pull it.
And you know what's funny about Tony? He's kind of under the radar because he's actually playing really well.
Is
It's
he?
just, yeah, he played well at the PGA Championship. He played well multiple times this year, but he's finishing in the top 20. He's not like
Not killing it, but
he's not
playing
killing it.
well. BRB.
Yeah,
He could.
he's not competing for titles right now. So that being said, we did just lose Brent, but Bud Colley is the one that I was mentioning there at plus 11,000. Bud's been playing fantastic golf.
Yeah.
He's been competing, and eventually, he's the kind of guy that has the pedigree, right? He's not one of
Could
these
do it.
guys that, all of a sudden you get him under pressure and he's going to choke because he's never been there before. He might not be a big name that a lot of people know, but if you know the Tiger Woods video game, Bud Colley was in that in like 96 or something.
Bud Colley played some golf.
Yeah. Bud Colley is a hell of a damn player. So I'm
Great
really
player.
happy for David because David's been on the show multiple times. He is somebody who took Bud's bag at the beginning of the year, and Bud's having a hell of a year. So
What's Fowler at?
Fowler, good question. Let's take a look. I know Spieth got in because of a sponsor invite. I'm hoping that Fowler was actually in the field.
You don't have
So-
Fowler breaking through before Spieth?
I don't. And granted, he obviously finished. What he finished last week, third.
He's been there's been some moments of brilliance.
Yeah, so he's in the field this week on a sponsor's exemption, just like Jordan Spieth. So he,
Fowler?
yeah, I don't love Ricky this week because of the course layout.
He's won
I'm
it,
just
though.
gonna say
Hasn't he?
no.
Oh no, that was he was there when Tiger chipped or flopped it in, right? what was it, 2018 or whatever. Yeah, I mean, the fact that him and Jordan Spieth are in the field at all
It's
is
actually a good question, though. So,
mind-blowing.
Brent,
Yeah,
who do
buddy.
you from Buttsy? Who do you
Mhm.
think's going to win first? Jordan Spieth or Ricky Fowler next? We should. Well, Brent can't gamble, but Buttsy,
I think
you and
Fowler
I should
wins
throw
before
some money on
Spieth. I
this.
think he's been way closer. Like,
You want to put a 20 spot on it? Just a friendly little wager, Buttsy, me and you.
Yeah,
So you got Fowler,
sure.
I got Spieth.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, they're going to get the same amount of starts. I think this is number 5 for both of them. They've gotten a sponsor's invite into every. I say with what's left, Jordan Spieth is usually a big time player in the spring, early part of the season. Yeah, Ricky Fowler.
Okay.
No
It'll be
cap.
interesting to see. We'll obviously
I
talk
don't
about
think
it.
personally. I don't believe either one of them are going to win, even though I do.
Well, not this week. I mean, I like Jordan Spieth this week because he plays well at the Memorial.
Correct. He does, but I think they're still both in that same sort of schedule that you only get limited opportunities and you're already playing against the top players. And I'm sorry, like neither one of them have really shown that they're the way they used to be. I mean, to be fair, Ricky Fowler does not have the same resume as Jordan Spieth.
Well, and let's talk about Jordan Spieth for a second because Jordan Spieth, he had the fall off, but then he had the wrist injury last year.
Mhm.
Still rehabbing that.
Yeah, I mean the way he works. I watched him a bunch in 23. Obviously, my coach and my trainer, we talk about kind of what guys are doing, and like I said, my trainer was one of the first guys to say, "Hey, Wyndham might be struggling this year," and he was right. But Jordan Spieth works with Cameron McCormick, and I think Cameron literally changes his golfing every week. So I don't see a lot clicking with what he's got 10 tournaments left that he's going to play. I mean,
His
not
iron
really.
game, though, is the one that to me is starting to come back. The driver is still suspect,
Yeah,
but Jordan Spieth during his prime still sprayed the ball with the driver because he was always trying to get extra
Yes.
distance.
Mhm.
But his iron game was so damn good. And
Oh, yeah.
that's where I think he's starting to get back to that. And if that wrist continues to heal up, I just see him at some point, he's going to compete. He's going to be right there. And hopefully,
You're confident in that.
I am because I want him to get over the hump from Augusta National.
Yeah,
The
I
12th
think
hole.
I think everybody wants to see, those 10, 15, 20 guys that have kind of played really well over the last, decade or so come back and really compete again. I mean, obviously Justin Thomas is one of those people. Ricky Fowler won in 2023, but then
Yeah.
really didn't do anything last year. Jordan Spieth also won in 2023 and then didn't do a whole lot last year. But it's just getting harder. So I mean, these guys are getting passed up by guys that are rookies. So I mean,
It's true. I
it's
mean, guys
pretty
are so
incredible.
good now coming onto the PGA Tour in their first year, second year. It's unreal. Let's talk about some stories from the Memorial Tournament. Now, I wasn't alive, and actually none of us were alive, so not even me, because I'm the oldest here, but Buttsy wasn't either. Brent certainly wasn't. Brent, you might not even have been none of us might have been a thought. God, I'm really stumbling here.
How far back are we going?
We're
Where are you
going
going with
to
this?
we're going to the inaugural
Oh God,
tournament in 1976.
1970. Yeah, I was just about to say like
Okay.
75.
Good old Roger Maltby, and he was playing back then, and he was going up against Hale Irwin. They went into a
Walrus.
playoff thanks to a fortunate break, and this is what caught my eye to where I'm like, holy cow, could you imagine this happening nowadays? So Maltby, he hit a gallery stake on the 17th hole, and it ricocheted onto the green. And that was in the third playoff hole. So it allowed him to stay in the playoff, which then ended up going a few additional holes later, and he ended it But that
He
bounce,
beat Hale Irwin.
he beat Hale Irwin in a playoff. I think they went 6 playoff holes, but he was able to stay in it because it hit that
That's
stick and bounced
incredible.
back onto the green, and he was able to make par. So obviously that's the inaugural. Great start to the Memorial Tournament, building some history right off the bat. But then in 1977, guess who came home, wins it? Good old Jack Nicklaus, and that he wins his own event. And he was 37 years old back in 1977. Then we move on. So good old Nicklaus won it again in 1984. Didn't he win the Masters in 84?
Mm-hmm.
So Jack, and that's kind of a theme here, because
He won it when
Scottie
he was 43.
Scheffler kind of did the same thing, which, we'll see. Let's obviously it can't happen this year with Rory McIlroy not playing in it, but we've got Paul Azinger's amazing hole-out win out of the bunker. They call it a miracle in 1993. Good old Zinger. Tom Lehman ended up winning in 1994. And then you got the Tiger stretch. This is probably the most impressive stretch. I mean, Tiger dominated WGC events, but he dominated the Memorial.
Yep,
I didn't even realize, going back and looking at it, he won it 5 times. And this is why it's kind of interesting, because Scottie Scheffler, if we're going to compare Scottie Scheffler, he needs to get some back-to-backs going, right? Well, Tiger Woods has a 3-peat at the Memorial. A 3-peat. Okay? So Scottie Scheffler has a chance to go back-to-back this year. In order to set it up for next year, we could be talking about Scottie Scheffler winning a 3-peat and matching that up against Tiger Woods and so forth. So that could be pretty cool from a storyline standpoint for us heading into next year if Scottie Scheffler does win this. But
he's going to win it.
I think he's going to win it.
I mean, anybody check the weather?
I have. No.
Hold on, let me check.
Check the weather.
Tiger also had the chip in at 16.
Yep.
For his 73rd win, which tied Nicklaus.
Doesn't look great. Some thunderstorms, some rain, some cool temperatures.
What?
I mean, it's not going to be very warm. It's going to be wet. Course is going to be playing long. This might yield for somebody that's just an absolute dagger with those mid to long irons, which I think Scottie is. So Scheffler. Yeah.
So Scottie Scheffler's week is what we're hearing. Hideki Matsuyama in 2014, 22 years old, broke through for the first time, beat Kevin Na. I believe that's when Kevin Na was dealing with the waggle issue.
Ooh.
Not being able to pull the trigger.
There was some stuff going on with that. That was when the first murmurs about him going to live came up.
In 2014?
Mm-hmm.
That was 2014.
I can't deal with this. I have to only play 3 rounds. No? Okay.
Live wasn't even a thought at that time.
It wasn't?
12 years ago.
Yeah, 2016. Guys, 2016, Dirt McGirt. Do you guys remember this? Dirt McGirt wins.
I know Will McGirt very well.
So
he was being
his
groomed
claim to fame.
by Greg in 2014 about a future plan that would later fall into place.
And one of our favorite players back in 2019, Matt Kuchar, did not win, but there was a rules issue that good old Ricky Fowler and the rules official went against Matt Kuchar. Matt Kuchar went off because his ball ended up going into an embedded ball mark of somebody else's.
Correct.
So he thought that it obviously flew in, argued it to death. They ended up having to go to the broadcast to replay it and see it bounce and go into it before they finally moved on. So Matt Kuchar threw an entire stink, which he is a sponsor exemption this week into this tournament.
He's a work day. Wild. He's a workday sponsor.
He is.
He's a workday athlete. So
I believe Jordan Spieth is too, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know, but Brant Snedeker is.
Beast
Snedeker, there
Neds.
you go.
I mean, that whole thing. I mean, they've been going on about it for a couple of days now. All the podcasts around the Golf Channel and
Look
stuff
at
like
this.
that.
Austin Whittington is on his game tonight because the very next one that we're going to talk about is John Rahm in 2020 and the penalty that he had on an amazing golf shot. So let's see
What
if I
happened? I
can.
don't remember that.
The
Yeah,
golf
so
ball moved ever so slightly, and you could only see it on slow mo.
yep. And so he chipped in from the deep rough, and it was basically sealing the win. But slow motion replay revealed his ball had slightly moved as he addressed it. After the round, Rahm was assessed a 2-stroke penalty for the inadvertent rules breach. Why it stands out, even
Son of
with
a
the
bitch,
penalty,
Rom.
reduces his margin of victory. Rahm's performance was dominant enough to clinch the title and make him world number one for the first time in his
Correct.
career.
And after that, they changed the rule that if you can't see it with the naked eye, it
Yep,
didn't happen.
that's right. And in
Oh, is that real?
2021,
Mhm.
yeah. So you can no longer go to call-ins either after that, I believe.
Nope.
Now,
The whole thing was some random guy said, "Oh, I think I saw this."
yep. And then they had to go back and they slowed it all down and everything. Ridiculous. But 2021, John Rahm's shocking 6-shot lead withdrawal, and that's where Patrick Cantlay, the player that Brent Grant says is not a top
Not a
player,
top player.
got his first
Nope.
victory there. And yeah, came all the way back
That's
to
why
win.
it doesn't count.
So
No, he didn't.
what's funny is, as the PGA Championship, we saw Rahm collapse as soon as he got
Yes.
to that he tied for the lead and then collapsed.
Mhm.
Seeing this again in 2021, is
No,
this
he
just
got COVID.
something? Well, okay. So he did get. Oh, that's right. It
Mhm.
was a withdrawal. That's
Mhm.
right.
He didn't
So it
lose
was
the
the
event.
COVID-19 test that came
Correct.
back. Sorry, I read that wrong, thinking that it was a 6-shot lead, not
You
thinking
could talk about
what
him at the
actually happened.
Players. Him at the Players, I think, in 22 or 23. I think no, 22, where he blew a lead there too. I mean, it's kind of normal for him. But yeah,
Interesting.
in 21, it was actually so. The crazy part about that was, and this goes back to the controversy around the COVID test in general, but they literally like no symptoms whatsoever, and he, somebody that he knew
Tested positive.
tested, yeah, and then he got a test, and then literally hours. So literally the night he gets tested in the day before. Fast forward to the next morning, and he gets a phone call.
I
And,
remember that now.
yep.
Like when I saw the headline, as I was doing the research, I just was like, oh, he blew a 6-shot lead. But no, it was the COVID test. That's right. That
It's like
ended up he couldn't play the final
he
round.
had some COVID in his nose, not in his body,
There you go.
for like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can talk about the PCR test, but
And then 2022, Billy Horschel
Mhm.
makes an eagle to seal a dominant win over Aaron Wise. I don't know why I said Wise, but that is a fan favorite for Trot Golfer, and I believe Brent, you're a fan of Billy Horschel as well.
Yeah, he likes that
No.
horse.
And then let's get into 2023. That's where Victor Hovland ended up starting his big run that year and ends up winning the FedEx Cup in 2023. And that was all started by that playoff thriller over Denny McCarthy.
What's Hovland at this week?
He's up there. So he is, let's see, where was Victor? Victor was plus 2,800. So he's kind of middle of, like towards the top 10.
What about Max home run?
So he's deep on there. And he has played Memorial well.
Yep.
But I still, once again, I mean, we saw it at the PGA Championship. There was some rust still on that golf game over 4 days. So he still needs to work off that rust. I don't think he's ready to hop back into the winner's circle by any means. But let's get to 2024 Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler edged out Colin Morikawa, shoots 8 under. Colin Morikawa shoots 7. So once again, it's going to be tough to see somebody else win this year. And that was Scottie Scheffler on a run, remember? I mean, that was, gosh, he had won the Players. He had won the Masters. He had won, what was it? Oh, he won the Phoenix Open, which was
Arnold
a
Palmer.
Signature Series event.
No, that was the year
Or
before.
no, that was the year before in 2023. That's right.
No, he won Arnold Palmer by 4 or 5.
That's right. Bay Hill Players, the Masters.
He won 8 times last year.
And he won like what, 6 Signature Series events?
He
like
won most
basically
of them,
was
yeah.
like all the Signature Series events were set up for him. It was crazy.
The question I have is, was this going on when so the level of competition is always a conversation. Like, the level of competition when Jack and Arnie or when Ben Hogan or what, right? Like that's kind of the conversation. When Tiger was his dominant self for all of that time, was the level of competition as stiff as it is now?
I would say yes, 100%.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
you had Phil Mickelson, who probably would have had an even more storied career if Tiger wasn't there. You had Vijay Singh playing his absolute best during that time. Ernie Els, Sergio. You
Jim
had
Furyk.
I mean, and what's crazy is the big names, those guys didn't fall off.
No.
Like you didn't see guys go through these big tumbles like you have with Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler. Like they built their names early on and then they went into some struggles, right?
Yeah.
That didn't happen with these guys that Tiger was going up against. And by the way, early in his career too, he's going up against legends in a lot of those to where they're still playing at the top level. And then as those guys started kind of falling off and going to the Champions Tour, I think it was stacked back in Tiger's day.
So then the fact that so many of these top players are, like you got, let's see, Xander, Colin, Wyndham, Homa, Ricky, Justin, Jordan. There's several more that I can name that have kind of been doing this and are on kind of a low last couple of year and a half or so.
Not top players.
Does that make a difference to how we view Scottie Scheffler's dominance?
No, not to me. I mean, Scottie, because
I don't
of the
either,
numbers,
but it's just
well, when you look at the numbers, right, and you see how much he's dominating, like when it comes to strokes gained approach,
everything.
Driving accuracy. I mean, there's all these stats that you can go and look at, and you could put him in any era, and Scottie Scheffler is going to be one of the greats. To Trott's point here, he thinks that Tiger had it harder, and I would agree with that. I think Tiger had more competition around him at that time, but man, guys have gotten so good that they may not carry the name, right? That branding behind them that so many of the guys around Tiger back in the day, and that does have when you think of the mental side, if you all of a sudden had Tiger Woods chasing you down, they were going to stumble. That doesn't happen anymore with guys on tour. Like some of these kids that are out there now are fearless. They just don't have the names yet.
Yeah, I think the way we view that time is manufactured a little bit by how the tour was marketing. I think obviously there are a few names that we mentioned, Phil, Jim, VJ, Ernie Els, Retief.
What about Freddie Couples?
Freddie? Freddie was not into the
Marco
2000s.
Mira,
Padraig Harrington, Graham McDowell. I mean, there's like a whole shitload of guys there.
Dustin Johnson, Jason Day, right?
That's the later half of the career.
So are we saying,
either way, right?
It's funny. Are we saying that the PGA Tour did a better job of marketing those players back in the day than they are now?
We know they did. I mean, look at how much money they made versus now. I mean, the top 15 players are really the only guys that are are making the kind of money that is securing your family kind of money.
So part of
Before,
that is that the game and players have gotten, like, you could make the argument, players have gotten so much better. There's so much technology now. We know
sure,
what great golf swings look like. We've got data behind it. Like, there's so much more that these kids coming out of college are so much better, right?
certainly.
So looking at that, they don't have the names because there's kind of this turnover, so to speak, with
Yeah.
players. Whereas like back in the day, you didn't have that. You had levels to this game, and there's still levels, but it's just not as big. Like the disparity between players that are really, really, really good and could win on a weekly basis to the guys that are just at the top of the game.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, the other part of this too is, and you guys both know this because you've been, you literally have been a part of these business deals. I mean, when somebody asks the question, "What are you going to get back for your investment?" There's not really a PGA Tour rookie that can say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get this much TV time, and the PGA Tour is going to market me this way," so on and so forth. Before, there
They
were
didn't have
commercials.
that then.
Well, no, but they were in multiple commercials. They cared about having a PGA Tour player repping their brand. I mean, there were
Winners.
no, I mean even guys that weren't. I mean, you look at like a Charlie Three Sticks. I mean, look at his sponsors over the years. I mean,
Callaway was a big one of his.
huge sponsor,
Yeah.
right? I mean, but the other thing
It's a good
is,
point.
I
Well,
mean, the
hang
other
on.
thing
Let
is,
me stop you for a sec because you make a really good point around this that, and I'll go back to the word disparity
Mhm.
because back in the day that there wasn't hundreds of players. I mean, you could say hundreds, but let's say that
was
right now
800.
there's like 250 players that could win on a weekly basis.
Correct.
Back
But
then there was like
50.
50 guys,
and to
right?
Correct.
Brent's point, we were talking with Hogue on the way up there, remember? And
Mhm.
um, he talks about it like there was an actual period there, especially for sponsorship from manufacturers that just doesn't exist anymore. And
Nope.
if you got to the tour, you got a contract basically that was pretty
Correct.
nice. If you're at the top 50, even better. And they just don't pay like that anymore. Not even the tour promoting them per se, but like there's just no money in clothing and fucking clubs
And you
anymore
say
either.
Hogue, that's Martin Laird's caddy, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
yeah. We
Ryan
had
Ho.
yeah. It's like
Yeah.
he was open about talking about a bunch of guys that got a shitload of money that weren't necessarily top guys because that's just how it was for everybody then.
Look at
Correct.
Tim Clark. I mean, there were stories where we'd be up at his place up in North Scottsdale, and one of his South Africans who played on the GCU golf team with me, they found checks in his couch from Adidas and TaylorMade that were like for 50 grand. And they're like, dude, this check's for $50,000 from a manufacturer. And he's like, oh, yeah, just
Mm.
throw it back in the couch for a rainy day. And it's just like, what? But they were getting tossed all this money from manufacturers. And like you said, it's just not that way anymore. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that there is so much disparity. Guys, there's this revolving door of players now that come into the PGA Tour. And I think that's why, partially, we've hated on the Signature Series,
Mhm.
shrinking the game, so to speak, with only 100 players and everything. But I think the top guys, what they really kind of were thinking is, man, if I have a bad year, I'm not going to get booted off of the tour. And I'm going to be able to keep my name recognition and build brand equity by still being on the PGA Tour
Well,
year in and year out.
and I'm gonna have plenty of money to continue to chase it if I do get booted.
Yeah.
You get social media and all this shit now. There's too many other avenues to consume golf in, and too many people that will work for a lot less that will bring you more revenue than a tour player will wearing your shit. And it's like
Correct.
that's that's why,
Do you
But yeah,
think, based off of that, do you think Callaway pays good more than any tour players?
It's
yeah, probably.
possible. It's so the big difference is if you're talking about a guy like, so for me, I'm a Strixon staffer, right? Which means I have the bag, I have the head covers, I have the hat, the glove, all of the clubs, yada yada yada. My deal is in the mid to low to mid six figures if I get on the PGA Tour, just the first year. So moving forward, or getting paid more, you have to stay on the tour for longer. There's incentives and so on and so forth. But the moment that you kind of drop back, it and don't have as much equipment, or maybe you don't have a staff deal. Well, first I want to pause because track golf that's a really big point. There's really nobody that sells clubs anymore. There's a group of TaylorMade guys that they get to market because Tiger paid all of them through his his investment firm that owns TaylorMade. But other than that, there's no big name that's out there moving as many clubs as Tiger did.
No.
So there's no the real money that these club manufacturers make is in what they're doing with the drivers and all that other stuff, not to mention cutting costs. But as far as contracts are concerned, the only people that are making, again, low to mid six figures or higher are guys that are on staff or are a top 50 player. If you're not, you're barely scraping by. And mind you, it costs $150,000 to $250,000 to play on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, people don't realize that.
And Hideki Matsuyama makes more money than anybody on the PGA Tour, by the way.
Strict on.
Oh, they probably pay the fuck out of him.
Japan literally pays him stupid money.
And you can't blame them for taking away that financial piece either, though, because like I said, it's just a bad business decision. You're not going to see Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, you're going to see him on TaylorMade commercials with Tiger every now and then, but he's not going to have millions of views on YouTube and across Instagram and Twitter and all this other shit that's potentially going to have eyes on product. There's a better option for a lot cheaper, or even the same money. Like, even if it's paying what they would have paid guys then, but it's all about eyes. And
well, you can go get a guy like Reggie Bush, like Srixon has, right? And you can pay him some cash, and it's not like they're paying him $1 million a year, and he can easily move product. He reaches a certain demographic, he reaches a certain audience. It's not a difficult equation to sit there and be like, oh, so we don't have to pay, 5 guys. Okay, fine. Like, it's not a hard conversation to be had, especially if you're talking about more money for those that run the business in the first place.
Yeah, but there should be a better opportunity if you go through the trenches and get to the tour, that you should at least have a couple years where it's affordable.
That's on so this is the point, right? Is that the kind of money that the executives at the PGA Tour are making? I mean, they literally have an entire team of people that are all about getting sponsorships for players, and they don't do anything. Needs a huge change. What sort of change would they make?
Let me read this one out. So Trot Golfer mentions the industry of golf equipment needs a huge change very soon. And I think, well, we'll wait to hear what he has to say around that. But I have to agree. I think, there's so many avenues marketing wise that club manufacturers can now go down. And the repetitiveness of their marketing over and over and over again, I think, has become a little mundane. I think Callaway certainly has put a ton of money into Good, and some of the others. TaylorMade's kind of gone after Grant Horvath and
Michael
whatever
Block.
happened to the other kid, Micah. What's his last name? I don't know.
I know you're talking about. I don't know what happened to him.
Parsons.
I almost said Parsons too, but it's not.
The change that's going to occur is that they're going to have to spend more money to innovate so that more people have access to tour style equipment, like bounces and head shapes and shit like that, because they blew their wad 4 or 5 years ago in terms of driver technology and shit like that. I mean, it's proofs in the pudding. Look on the PGA Tour. You got stuff that's dressed up as new stuff, that's old stuff, and old stuff that's still in the bag because it was better and nothing new has come out that's better. And it's like, yeah, they're gonna have to dig in and make it a lot more like unique to the individual, not just fitting for like shaft and spin rate. You're gonna have to be able to pick different head shapes and shit.
There's a couple of manufacturers that certainly are attempting to do this. The big problem is players control their own expenses. Austin says, do players control their expenses to a certain extent, probably diminishing returns versus comfort? The easy equation there is there's not a single tour player on planet Earth that would ever sit there and say, I'm going to stay at a Motel 6 instead of a comfortable hotel to make sure I get a good night's rest. There's not a single person that says, I'm going to eat at In-N-Out instead of going and getting a nice steak because I want to feel as good as I can tomorrow. There's also not
What about the Golden Corral?
no.
I
Used to
mean,
do that in college.
get pretty damn good
Can you
steak
bring
there
up?
too.
Can you? So Trot and Brent have good back-to-back
Don't
comments.
shit on Golden Corral.
Well,
So
but
here's
not,
Trot Golfer with, to start with how much the consumer supports the free ride for influencers. The consumer is sick of supporting these guys. Also, the entire loft debate. Okay. And then we've got Brent Hobby saying the normalization of $600 plus drivers is out of control too. G440 LST with a Velocore shaft, thanks BG, was $750. It's amazing, but holy F. And I do think that drivers, especially, these shafts, why,
such
like,
bullshit.
they put in a shaft.
A tour shaft.
Well, you go to, if you were to buy a driver off the rack at Dick's Sporting Goods, for instance, it may have the name of the shaft that's on there, but that is not the same shaft as you would buy aftermarket in order to have. So that part to me has to stop. I think that actually is a big part of this industry to where they're limiting so many people and they're not getting. So what ended up happening is the manufacturers were just marketing the same drivers over and over again. People were paying those for the longest time, but then got smart and they're like, okay, this driver isn't that much better than last year's.
Correct.
Because people were putting in their bags. I remember, I mean, shoot, this was back in the like 2010 to 2020 range. Like every single year you were putting a brand new driver in your bag because you thought it was the next greatest thing. And I think actually launch monitors and things like that kind of hurt the industry a little bit because it started proving that the numbers were not changing that much. And to that degree that, all of a sudden they're like, the sales were going down. So every manufacturer started increasing prices because the volume was down.
But
instead of fixing the problem, which they didn't do. And all of a sudden now you have it to where they have to charge so much money in order to be profitable. And the whole industry is kind of going into a little bit of a collapse because there isn't this crazy R&D that's going into it. There's not these massive changes that are happening in terms of performance. It's just
I'm going to disagree with you on the driver costs, though. Driver costs for a like a brand new Ping, like he said, $750 with a Tour Velocore. That's what you're paying $750 for. You're getting that on the cheap from the manufacturer because they are buying that Tour. Now they have a retail version with the Ping shaft in it that's $500 or $600 or whatever it is. You can upgrade. You can upcharge to a Tour Velocore for $750. If you did that in 2010, guys were very easily spending $1,000 on a driver because they didn't have upcharges then. The only place that you could put something together that was like is available on the PGA Tour was to do it yourself or to go to like a Hot Sticks Golf or some other place that's going to then charge you to fit you and build it for you another $200. It was like $1,200-$1,300 for a tour style driver back in the day. At least now through TaylorMade's website and stuff like that, you can get a $400 shaft at a $200 upcharge. And I know I'm not talking way too many numbers here, but it's not as bad as it could be as like back in the day when you had to go put those two things together.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think part of the issue here is that the major manufacturers that kind of quote unquote own the driver market, at least if we're going to talk about drivers, because obviously irons and all that other stuff is sort of pointless. But they come out with a driver every single year. And I've talked to every tour rep about this, and the idea is that they still believe that this is what's going to keep the numbers pumping in. Srixon comes out with every 2 years. I think Ping comes out with every 2 years. Ping, absolutely, as Brent said, it's has come out with a driver that is straighter by far than any other driver on the market. And I 10 out of 10 recommend it for somebody that really struggles off the tee. But the big issue here is not that there's these random upcharges for tour shafts. If it's going to be a tour shaft, if it says TX or TS on it or whatever, it is different than your standard manufacturer shaft. The crazy part about this is, and I'll go back to what you said, Matt, a little earlier about what shaft manufacturers are giving these OEMs. It's it's basically like they're handing them, okay, here's 2 or 3 shaft options that we think would fit well with your driver, and we hope and pray that it works for most people. And the issue is that all it does is open up the market for these shaft manufacturers to jump in and be like, like for example, Tour AD, where they charge $1,000 per shaft, and they're some of the worst shafts on the market. So if club manufacturers were to actually invest just a wee bit into putting good shafts in their clubs, or at least more shafts standard, I think you would see a lot more people play them. But until they do that, I don't see that happening.
They need to do it like the car market, like where a
Exactly.
new body style doesn't come out more than once every few years. Now that doesn't mean that small improvements can't be ordered and upgraded. Like, and I mean, and hear me out on this. Beyond the shaft, like let's say the TaylorMade came out and they did the carbon face. Well, guess what? You have a 2019 carbon face on yours. We're going to now engineer the golf club where the new 2020 face came out, and you can order the face for your driver, or you can order a new crown for your driver, or whatever, the bottom plate, however you want to market that. And I just think you need to expand the upgradable component feature to fit exactly what you want. And you could charge plenty of money for that
Or
without having to
just
come out with a brand new driver every year. Like,
or just do it every 2 years. I mean, the gap between people, like actual regular people that play, your weekend warriors, or even your guys that play 2 or 3 times a year, um, they don't need a new driver every year. If they come out with a really good driver every 2 years, you would see. I mean, first of all, they'd be spending less money on pumping out a new driver every year, which
that's what I'm
last
saying.
time I checked is kind of the whole point. And then to Butsy's point, if you want to make it a little bit customizable, a little bit more customizable, then you simply explain to people exactly why this driver is actually going to be different, rather than some bullshit marketing, because it's a stagnant market. I mean, the golf, first of all, golf in itself is stagnant right now, but
Well, they killed
yeah.
themselves. And the one thing that I misspoke on is I didn't realize that, and Buttsy and you both know more in regards to, especially Buttsy. You know a lot about equipment when it comes to the upgrades and so forth. I didn't even realize I haven't bought a driver in so long.
No,
Um,
for sure. For sure.
that the upgraded shafts are now not that expensive, but the manufacturers had a lot to do with that, right? Because once again, I just feel like they got into the cell phone cycle to where
Mhm.
every year we got to launch something new. The PGA show, we got to have something new.
Yep.
And they got into this terrible trend that it's like, we've got to keep doing it. And I loved what you said, Butsy, to where you're like, if they just came out with simple upgrades that you can
Yeah.
attach to your driver, or you can replace parts to your driver. So let's say that, the crown of it has been scuffed up because you hit a few sky marks on there. You
Yeah.
can replace that.
Or we can get, or
And
we get you a Cadillac version though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you, they should come out as a base model, and that way, if a guy can only, just like a Chevy truck or whatever, you can
Mhm.
buy a base model for $25,000 less than the fully loaded one. The fully loaded one shouldn't just be a $400 upgraded shaft, and it's either $500 for the base, or you upgrade the shaft
Yeah.
and we charge you for the fitting, and it's 1,000. Like, there should be other things along the way that take it from base to premium, and they're missing the boat on being able to market all those little pieces to get you into, and you could go middle of the road, right? Like, I don't know. I just, Trump said it, that
Absolutely.
it needs a change, and like I could maybe look forward and seeing like that being maybe something that they start to look into outside of finding the next 10 yards next year because it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, absolutely correct. I mean, and this goes into, even if you start talking about golf balls and stuff like that. I mean, the every year cycle for a Titleist ball or a Callaway ball or a TaylorMade ball, it just doesn't work. And uh, you can tell that they're pretty much the same stuff because you have tour players that are playing in most cases the year prior or even in 2 to 3 years prior. Uh,
Mhm.
so I mean, you talk to any TaylorMade guy, and you just sort of look at him, and you're like, "How's the new driver?" Oh, I don't know. I haven't hit it. We're 6 months into the season. Yeah, this one works
Yeah.
because they know how the game works. And so the real tough part about this is for people like Buttsy and myself, Matt. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could certainly get whatever club you wanted, but clearly you don't need to. But for guys like Buttsy and myself that do have access, it's hard to relate because like we can sort of just ask and receive. When if you go into a PJ Tour Superstore, you've got to spend 2.5 hours in there talking to somebody that's just trying to upcharge you. You can't trust that they're going to give you something that they actually believe is going to make you better.
Then you got to buy it. And
Well,
then
that's the
if
point. And
it's
then you're
not,
talking about $1,500, which is
and there's a
ridiculous.
small golf market out there where guys will go and spend another 2,000 the next week. Now they got 5 different drivers. They're trying to rotate, find the best one for the summer. And it's like, nobody's got that kind of fucking money. Like I said, make it a base model. And like, if you can afford the base, you still have a really fucking great golf club that's probably good for everybody. But it's terrible to keep ripping these people off year after year, convincing them that another $600 is going to make a difference. They're really buying it to put wheels on their golf game. Like it's like they want to show their buddies that they bought a new driver. That's the marketing.
Drivers
That's all
are
it is.
double the
Yeah.
amount that they were
You
six
just want
years
the new
ago.
shit in your bag. You don't
Yeah,
want to look like
and
a
which
pleb.
is
So
which is totally fine, right? But think about how many times you've seen the guy that's playing like if they were ever to find them the slider driver SLDR, right? Like
I
we
still
all
have one.
look
I'm
back on
staring at
that,
it right now, actually.
dude.
that's a
I look
good
back on
driver.
that 430 driver. I would play that right now, one
I
Probably the
hundred
least
literally
percent
forgiving
have.
golf club
right
ever
now.
made, but
Don't care.
I know that you
Lowest
shat on
spinning.
the Tour AD shafts, but I have a
Hate them.
Tour MDX in there that's yellow and green, and it's a white-headed SLDR. That is my
can you
That's
master
show us
pretty
that?
tool.
sick looking.
It is
Yeah, why don't you
sick.
go grab that? Should grab it real
I'm,
fast.
I'm,
He doesn't want to get up.
I'm looking it up.
But yeah, the whole equipment thing. I don't think we're ever going to get to a place where it's like, hey, yeah, this is the tour head, because they don't they can't do that. They don't even get manufactured in the same place. So this idea that well, I'm playing the same thing is
Man,
no.
we've gone after golf equipment the past 2 episodes. Like we got into it a
Well,
little bit last week.
It's a hot
It is
topic.
carried over. I think we should do an episode just on equipment. And actually, maybe we can get on somebody from one of the manufacturers.
I can't.
And that would be an interesting conversation to have
I bet we could
and to
get Brad
see.
on here.
That'd be fun. I
Somebody from
mean,
PXG, somebody from Strixon. Hell,
it would be
Halcyon will
cool
come
to
on.
have those conversations, right?
Yeah, I mean,
He's
I
an
think
engineer.
yeah, exactly. Somebody that actually understands. I mean, the tough part is you talk to a salesperson or somebody that deals like, so for example, one of my good friends is a high up at Strixon, and he deals with all the big box um, businesses in most of the South and Southwest. And he tells me all the time, he's like, listen, man, like the fact that we do things on every 2 years makes it so it's refreshing. When he sits across from these people that are TaylorMade, Callaway, Cobra, right? He's just like, what are you guys doing? Like your margins got to suck because there is no end to this, new driver, new wood, new iron that looks somehow exactly the same as the old one.
A quick
Um,
shout out to Cleveland Trixon. Roger Cleveland's back.
yes, he is. That's
He's
huge.
back at Cleveland. making wedges just like,
Mhm.
and I saw the promo for it.
Oh yeah,
And those wedges are back to being what I played in high school. And
588
I'm
baby.
like, holy shit, this is gonna be sick.
Tor Reg 588, my first set of wedges. He is so obviously everybody's a buzz about it. The entire company is so glad that he's back. Obviously it's his company. But he's one of those guys that does not care about other people's opinions. And he's going to build whatever he wants, however he wants to build it.
Brent, can you give me a couple of those?
I might be able to. Honestly, the crazy part about it is that because because I'm so close with a couple of the guys, the R&D people they're constantly working on this stuff. So the fact that Mr. Cleveland's back is huge, and I'm so thankful for it, and I know everybody else is.
He's
So.
got some broad shoulders and a big back. All
Yes,
right,
he does.
everybody, that's going to wrap it up for tonight, for tonight's episode. I would actually say that this went from being the 2025 Memorial Preview into a debate on club manufacturing.
Cut it in half.
I think so. I think that's
Clip it.
exactly
Almost
what
two
I'm going to think
episodes.
about. I think we're going to release potentially 2 out of this.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a fun debate, but I think it leads to more, right? I think it's something that we could leave in this episode, but I think it's something that I want to have a longer conversation on
Mhm.
and really spend an entire episode on just club manufacturing, that industry, potentially bring on some experts from within some of the companies. Like you said, potentially an engineer, potentially like even a salesperson would be interesting to talk to just because they know the BS that they sell. But again, very excited for the CBAS broadcast this weekend for the Memorial Tournament. It is going to be a great tournament where Scottie Scheffler is going to potentially win, and it's going to be a lead in to the US Open at Oakmont, which is there a better US Open venue than Oakmont? We're going to be talking about it. We can't answer that right now. We will get into all of that in the weeks to come. Probably next week, actually, we will get into that.
Next week.
But yeah, we do want to thank our sponsors, Devro Golf. Make sure to utilize the promo code PullHookGolf20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order there. We also have the promo code with Vice Golf. We want to thank them as well for Pull Hook. So PULLHOOK. And then we've got another sponsor jumping in next week that we will be talking about there as well. But without further ado, peace out, everybody. A-Town down.